Good morning, I'm Sheriff John Rutherford, and I want to thank you for coming out to hear about the success of our gun buybacks today, and to make an important announcement about future planned gun buybacks. And joining me today is our great partner in these events, Ms. Delores Barr and her colleagues from the Community Foundation of Northeast Florida. And also here are other guests that I'll introduce in just a moment. If you'll stay with me for just a minute, exactly 1 year ago this month, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office held our first gun buyback event, and that is offering to any citizen willing to turn in their gun, unwanted gun, $50 in cash. And the Maceo Elks Lodge stepped up and hosted us, and at that event, if you remember, we took in 539 firearms. And based on that success, we began planning for another. And following at the Atlantic Baptist Church back in October of 2013, we took in an additional 682 firearms that were unwanted. And then in January at Evangel Temple on the west side for our third, a total of 814 firearms were purchased, and 3 were just donated by folks who didn't even want the money. They just wanted to turn the guns in and get them out of their house. That's 2,035 guns purchased back from citizens with a total amount spent of $101,000 and $600. Tracing those guns, we learned that 33 of them were previously reported as stolen, dating back to 1969, firearms that are now recovered. That was a total of 1.6%. These buybacks matter really for a couple of reasons. Number one, we want to provide a safe mechanism for people who decide they don't want a firearm, a way for them to get rid of them safely and get them out of our community. And as a proponent of the Second Amendment, I can tell you that I promote responsible gun ownership. A gun that's stashed somewhere that you might forget about is a gun that potentially becomes stolen, used in by the wrong hands in a crime, and we can alleviate our citizens of that worry through these gun buybacks. Following the success of those events, I met with Mrs. Weaver and her folks over at the foundation, and we discussed the next round of buybacks. And she is deeply committed to this project, but she wanted us to put our heads together and find a way to not only support the events, but use them as a way to promote what is good in our community. And we hit upon the idea of a financial match. And today I'm here to announce that beginning with our next gun buyback, which is scheduled for 1 week from this Saturday, June 28th, at North Jacksonville Baptist Church on Main Street, for every gun turned into JSO, the Delores Barr Weaver Fund at the Community Foundation for Northeast Florida will match that $50 payout with each $50 contribution to the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. So we want to thank them for stepping up and making this match. So citizens who turn their gun in, they will receive $50 cash, and PAL will receive $50 cash. And just a tremendous, tremendous partnership. And additionally, Delores has set a goal in this next round of buybacks of 2,050 guns to hopefully exceed the amount taken in during the first 3. And I will be contributing $70,000 from forfeiture money. I love taking drug money from the dopers and using it to get guns off the street. And from her own pocket, Ms. Weaver will be contributing what could add up to as much as $135,000 to buy guns and match every payout with that $50 contribution to PAL. And we are truly overwhelmed and humbled by your continued generosity to the Police Athletic League, Mrs. Weaver. Thank you so, so much. And folks, we couldn't have found a better way to show the community how proven, effective programs designed for our youth, such as our after-school education program, sports, mentoring, teen leadership, youth development council, the summer camps, the scholarships, how all of that makes a difference in the lives of these children at PAL, and it makes our community a much better place to live. So So with that, I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank my team here at JSO for making these buybacks the operational success that they are. We also appreciate every citizen who comes out to us with an unwanted firearm. And we especially appreciate the churches and the civic associations that provide us with a venue that works for such a detailed operation. So thank you to everyone. And remember, Saturday, June 28th, at North Jax Baptist Church on Main Street, that's just south of Hector Drive, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And once again, it's $50 per gun and $50 for a PAL child. So thank you, and with that, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Delores Barr. Delores.
Well, good morning to everyone, and thank you so much for coming to tell the whole community about this great project. And thank you, Sheriff. I'm just grateful for the opportunity to work with you and your staff at JSO. I could not do this alone, so partnership is always the best thing, so I'm grateful. When I stood before this group a little more than a year ago, I said that the Gun Buyback Program was important to me because I am a mother and I'm a grandmother. It was the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School that made me realize that I must do something. Ever how small or big it may be, I must do something. Must do something to get the guns off the street and out of the hands of criminals and the mentally ill. To do that, we are raising awareness again through these buybacks this year. And I personally am advocating for registration of all guns, which means background checks as well. Let's ponder the questions. Why should honest, law-abiding citizens be afraid to register their guns? And why does anyone need a semi-automatic to protect their family or themselves? Our goal, as you've already heard the sheriff say, is to bring in more guns than we did last year. And I believe last year it was 2,035. So 2,050 we're looking for this year. But we'd be happy to have more. In addition, as you've already heard, to the buyback and to the citizens who bring in their guns, you already heard the sheriff say that we will contribute $50 for each gun to PAL. And to be honest, I can think of no better way to bring the focus of children and their safety to the buyback program any other way than to make a contribution to the great work that they do at PAL. Our children deserve support, but more importantly, they deserve to be safe. They deserve to be protected. I do not lose sight of the fact that people fire the guns. Those guns that kill our children. And I know we must do more to help the mentally ill. The mentally ill too often is the shooter. In our community, state, and nation, too much is happening. I think we've had something close to 15 shootings since Sandy Hook. We cannot ignore the fact if they did not have access to guns, there would not be those shootings. So I would suggest let's get to work. Let's get to work now, starting next Saturday, the 28th, and not wait until another Sandy Hook brings us to the day that we vow to do something. Let's do something starting today. And I'd like to ask everybody in Jacksonville, what will you do? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weaver. And now, one of the benefactors of this is going to be the children of PAL, as we mentioned earlier. I'm going to ask Lieutenant Matt Neiman, who is the CEO over at PAL, to come and say a word.
Thank you, Sheriff, and good morning. The Police Athletic League of Jacksonville has served the neediest and most underserved children in our community for 42 years. And it's a very targeted service. We go into the poorest of poor areas, and we provide many of the services that the Sheriff mentioned. But the Police Athletic League, or any other nonprofit you name, the community, including Mrs. Weaver, or the Sheriff's Office, none of us individually could be as effective as we are by doing what we're doing today, which is collaborating together, pooling our resources and our efforts toward a common goal. The common goal is making our community safer, providing better opportunities for our children. So I want to thank Mrs. Weaver for this partnership. As I mentioned to her a couple minutes ago, having community leaders like her who have already proven how much they care about the Jacksonville community and the children of our community is so critical, so that others see her efforts and what she's doing to make our community a better place. And hopefully we'll have others step up and partner with us and with other folks doing similar good-natured tasks. So thank you, and we're hoping that we'll far exceed the 2050 gun number.
Thank you, man. Listen, I have to tell you, one of the greatest challenges facing Jacksonville is simply this: how do we raise young boys and girls to become nonviolent young men and women? And PAL is one way to do that. And so, Delores, I want to thank you again for stepping up and not just supporting them with words, but deeds. And thank you very much for being here with us. So with that, we'll throw it up for any questions.
Stephanie Young with WOKB. You mentioned 2050 is the goal. Are we planning 3 more buyback events? Or is it just
well,
one right now?
we're not going to talk about any future events, but we hope to get 2050 in some number of gun buyback events that we may do in the future.
Where do the guns go when you guys get them when they're turned in?
They all get melted down.
Oh, wow.
We cut them up and melt them down. So they are literally off the street forever. Now, and there is an exception though. If there is a collectible gun that is in there, that's different. We're not going to destroy antiques and that sort of thing.
David Williams, First Coast News. Do you think the gun buyback program already has, or will in the future save lives?
I think it already has. Certainly when you consider, look, 33 of those guns in that last batch were stolen. Stolen guns have the propensity to wind up involved in crime. And often those crimes involve violence and someone being killed or injured, seriously injured. So, no, I believe that's the hard part about all this. How do you quantify what didn't occur? You can't do that. But I can tell you this. We know that stolen guns are often used in violent crimes. So if we're getting guns off the street that are more than likely, because they're not wanted, that they are stolen, then certainly we have saved lives. And this time we're even going to help children.
Is there any effort to track down the prior owners on the stolen guns to see if they want them back?
Yes, yes.
Dana Training Times Union, back on this commitment of funds and the goal of 2050, is that, you say you can't say when you would want to reach that goal, but it would be within the next year?
Yes, within the next year.
That's within the next year. There will be, if you don't collect 2,000 this next gun buyback, you'll continue on throughout the next year.
Yeah, we fully anticipate we're going to do more, but to answer Stephanie's question, I don't want to put a number on it, and I don't want to say when, because what we don't want to do is have folks go out and, I don't think they would, but go out and steal guns to turn in. So,
but sometime in the next year, that's kind of
what may happen in the future.
The next year is the goal for
that. Yeah, that's the goal.
Any other questions?
That might be.
When we're talking about crime, we know that obviously there was a gun crime problem here. How important are events like this in specifically targeting some of the recent problems we've seen here?
Look, it's very important. 2,035 guns was more than we took off the street in an entire year. through enforcement action. So that's an amazing, I think, an amazing accomplishment.
How many did you take off the street?
2,035.
You said that's more than one.
Yeah,
more than one.
I think it was right around 2,000, 1,900, something like that. Don't hold me to that number,
I mean,
but
it was less, but it wasn't, it was close.
Right, very close.
Okay.
Is there any way that, I don't know if we can do this now or in the future, but to link some of these guns to crimes that have happened, especially those that have been stolen maybe, or?
Well, if we could link them to the crime, we certainly would.
But
I
so
mean, we
there's a
always
possibility.
look, that's why we run the serial numbers, to see if they have been reported as involved in a crime, have they been reported stolen, that sort of thing. So, oh yeah, if we could tie them to a crime, we certainly would.
And were any of the ones that we seized over the past year specifically tied to any crime, other than the stolen ones?
Just the crime with the theft.
Stephanie, to clarify, you meant turned in, not seized.
Turned in, yes.
Yeah,
Any other questions?
all right.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Again,